Hello and welcome. My name is Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. It's time now to take a look at our big story today. Shocking anti-Muslim slogans, a clear call for violence, in fact, raised in the heart of the capital at a rally organized by a former Delhi BJP spokesperson. This is our top story this evening. This was, if we can bring it up, this was a protest rally that was organized at Delhi's Jantar Mantar, a stone's throw away from not just parliament but also other key institutions of the Indian state like the Election Commission. These slogans call for violence against Muslims. They're a clear illustration of hate speech. We are, of course, beeping out and blurring out specific references to the kind of slogans that were raised, but even through those starred references on your screen, you can sense what kind of words were used for Indian Muslims. Slogans were part of a rally that were organized by a former Delhi BJP spokesperson, Ashwini Upadhyay. And although he is condemning these slogans and saying he does not know who the men were, in fact, he's suggesting that the videos were fake, the Delhi police has strangely registered an FIR against unknown people, although all of these people are clearly caught on camera. So, why unknown people at all? Will the Delhi police act as outrage mounts? And should that FIR, that case against unknown people, be contested because these are men who are caught on camera? Let's bring up our guests on the program today to talk about this shocking incident, the second, in fact, in a series of similar incidents that has taken place in the capital area. On the program today, Zafar Sareshwala is with us. He's a well-known educationist, and he is also someone who has known Prime Minister Modi from his days in Gujarat. We're also joined by Sherbir Panag, who's an outspoken lawyer. Welcome, Sherbir, to the program. Amod Kanth, senior retired IPS officer who's been Director General of Police as well, joins us. Saba, Naqvi, a veteran journalist and commentator, is with us, and PKD Nambiar, a political analyst, is with us as well. Before we get started with this conversation, we're going to give you a glimpse of the kind of slogans that were raised. Please do understand that because we do not want to add to an already inflammatory situation, and also the law binds us to beep out these abusive words. So you will hear loud beeps where those abuses took place. But take a look in any case. हिंदुस्तान में रहना होगा, So you can see there that Hindustan mein rehna hoga, Jai Shri Ram kehna hoga. That part is clear. The others are very, very religion-specific slurs that call for violence. In Parliament, Asaduddin Owaisi has called the slogans genocidal. All right, let me start the conversation right away. And Saba, I know you've had a chance to look at the slogans. We've had to censor them, or filter them rather, not censor them, for obvious reasons. Your first response is, why is this happening now? Do you agree with the defense that has been presented? And we'll play out his interview in just a moment by Ashwini Upadhyay, the former Delhi BJP spokesperson, who says that he has no idea who these men were and he doesn't know who they were.
So clearly these men are part of the ecosystem that supports Mr. Upadhyay, whose Twitter ID is Ashwini BJP. He was a spokesperson of the BJP in Delhi. And the tragic comedy is it's supposed to be a unity platform that this was supposed to be created. And there were people with such confidence that nothing will happen to them, raising slogans, asking for genocide. Now, this happens when you know you can get away with. Let's not forget that in Delhi, slogans were raised suggesting Goli Maro Saloko. There were slogans raised in Delhi that Muslims are Pakistanis. And if you remember, the facts that happened in 2020 after the riots is that when a High Court judge said file an FIR, he was transferred in 24 hours. No FIR was filed in the case of the Delhi riots. And let's also remember, we choose to overlook that 14 mosques, besides the people, we all know, Barkha, you've covered Gujarat and all, the toll in deaths was not as high, but 14 mosques were destroyed in Delhi, one dargah. 14 mosques were attacked, abused. So now you must understand the system looks away because politics is complicit. I'm not saying they have ordered them to go there and raise it, but when mobilizing against Muslims is your main template in the Hindi belt, when that is what you think keeps you growing, and it does work for them up to a point, then things do get out of hand. So then when institutions start to look away, and so you have this, like I'm saying, similar slogans were raised by more responsible citizens saying Goli Maro Saloko about Indian Muslims. And now you have ki, whatever, I don't want to repeat the slogans. You have that by a bunch out there in Jantar Mantar, away from parliament. Have you seen anyone in the regime uh, give a explanation, an apology? Nothing. There is nothing forthcoming because this is the political template. It will continue to happen. And mark my words, if some random arrests are made, it will be over in a matter of time. That this is the main thing. Plank is Hindutva in the Hindi belt.
By the way, my producer was just telling me that while Mr. Ashwini Upadhyay's Twitter bio used to say BJP, it no longer does. We don't quite know at
I
what
just
point.
checked it.
Yeah,
I just checked it. I
we
wrote a
just looked
piece.
at it. We just
He's
looked
the
at it. In fact,
BJP
in
has
fact,
told him.
so
I
I
just
just thought
used it.
that was
I've
an
written a
interesting.
story. Yeah,
That was
yeah,
an interesting
yeah,
detail. In fact, we'll show you
yeah,
that screenshot. Let's pull it up anyway in a moment and
yeah,
show our audience.
yeah,
But the fact is that he is a former Delhi BJP spokesperson.
yeah.
Another person, Gajinder Chauhan, identified with the BJP, was also on stage. Ashwini Upadhyay spoke to my colleague earlier, and I'll play out what he said. But Amod Kanth, there are going to be questions raised about the role of the Delhi police, and there are two questions. The police is saying we didn't give permission for this gathering. It took place in violation of permissions, and now they've gone and filed a case against unknown persons. Although, as you saw in the clip we played, we know who the people are. We may not know their names, but I mean, it would be easy for the police to find out who these people were. Mr. Khan, are you somewhat dismayed and disappointed by how the police has responded? The fact that such a gathering could take place at all?
Well, I think what comes to mind straightway is the first point you mentioned already, that Delhi Disaster Management Authority, or within the law, I think this kind of assembly, was it permitted? If it was not permitted, it's unlawful. And if it is unlawful, first of all, ab initio, the acts of all these people is actionable. And anyone who applied for this permission and carried out, notwithstanding permission not being granted, so obviously that is the first part of it. And permission is not being granted at this particular time. That is first part. Secondly, uh, whatever the place may be, this particular place is well covered, very close to Parliament Street Police Station, and generally it's covered all the time. And I am sure that the police would be there. I am sure that people from the special branch or whoever they must have covered it. If they have covered it and they have recorded the whole thing, and it is based on their report. I mean, it can be based on their report. The report can
Yeah.
come from the policeman on duty in uniform also can file a complaint, or perhaps a confidential report can come from the special branch and the case can be registered. I have absolutely no idea what you say. I hear that it's against unknown persons. So one
Yeah.
doesn't know who has filed it. It really depends who files it. And somebody who has the information and who has,
But
let's say,
can't the police take suo moto action? Why does it need someone to file this complaint? I mean,
that's
the fact is
precisely.
that this is hate speech. It's a clear call to violence. Even with the beeping of those slogans, we should tell our audience that this was a call to violence against Muslims. The word kato was used. That's all I'll say.
Barkha, that's
It's
the point.
important for the audience to know that.
No, Barkha, that's the point I am trying to make, because, well, I have done it. I have supervised this kind of activities. The special branch, or whoever is present from the police side, they have to record. They have to record, and they have to take note of these situations. And decidedly, the police can take suo moto action. I have no idea. I have no idea whether it is on police report that a case being registered against unknown persons, or it is somebody else's report. I have no idea. In fact, the
Okay.
police can do it and should do it. Okay. And of
Yeah,
course,
that's the
the slogans being
yeah.
raised, the slogans being raised, if it amounts to, in the considered view of the police, or maybe they can take a legal opinion if they have any problem. Anything which is likely to cause, or which is causing any kind of communal disaffection or communal hatred or division in the society, all of us know that it calls for legal action and it's a criminal offense.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that the police should do it. Sherbir, bring in the legal perspective on this notion of unknown persons. It's actually quite a commonly used police technique. It's often the first response. But we are repeatedly showing our audience the clip of the men who raised these slogans. The organizers of the rally have disassociated from these men. And I'll play out Ashwini Upadhyay's interview in just a moment. But he says, "Mujhe nahi malum kaun hai," and I condemn these slogans. And how do I control a group of people coming and raising these slogans? Your response to that, Sherbir, Panag, would be what?
Barkha, first and foremost, the slogans, the language used needs to be condemned. There is no place for this in our democracy. There's no place for this in our society. And it's a very, it's shameful, and it's a very, very dark day for us. Let's now come to the law. In terms of, and I think that we're going to deal with a slight nuance between the law and the Delhi police's track record in handling instances of protests in the capital previously. As far as the law is concerned, yes, the FIR has, from what we've read in newspapers, has been registered. And yes, at this point of time, it could be, when the FIR got registered yesterday, is what I've read. Registering it against unknown persons is a matter of procedure. It would take time for them to clarify and determine who the relevant individuals are. But I think the point I want to make here is not that. This is the same Delhi police that has had preventive detentions, that picked up protesters and released them with buses in different parts of the city when the CAA protests took place, that had advanced intelligence about what students in Jawaharlal Nehru University were up to, what students in Jamia Islamia University were up to. And this is the same Delhi police which, right next to our parliament, is unable to determine that a protest of this magnitude firstly got organized after they had denied permission. And while I completely sympathize with Mr. Upadhyay that none of us can be responsible for who all join a protest and what issue they decide to conjoin with it, but I think if the protest permission was denied, as is being reported in the news, and a protest of this nature came by, given the Delhi police's aggressive style of policing in the past, and lathi charging and so on and so forth, and tear gas being used at the drop of a hat, and news being leaked of facial recognition being used to determine who has done what, I find it slightly appalling that right next to our parliament, when a parliamentary session is ongoing, something like this could happen. And since we've become such an obsessed nation with security, with national security, about what toolkits and Google documents can impact our national security today, the fact that when we actually have a national security crisis, the police is sleeping on it. And and I'm not going to appeal at this point of time, and apologies for being this passionate, I'm not going to sort of get into what is Delhi police doing right or wrong, but I think I'm going to appeal to Mr. Asthana. I'm going to appeal to DCP West. I'm going to appeal to the head of the special branch. Sirs, this is your moment of reckoning. This needs to be a constitutionally driven investigation. The top law officers of this country can come to oppose bail of an 18-year-old girl. I'm sure a special prosecutor can be appointed, and I'm sure arrests can be made, and I'm sure all the other police excesses that we need to deal with, and the fact that presumption of innocence every day gets thrown out of the window, can be all set aside. And I'm not trying to equate two wrongs for a right or apples to oranges, but this is the same Delhi police that could act that way and is choosing not to act in the same way 24 hours later here. I think we demand the same level of accountability that we got, and the same level of policing that we have seen earlier in the capital under whatever garb it was. So I think that is what needs to come in. And on a final sign off, I think we've got a distinguished guest here. I think one of the most courageous journalists today out there, who was there and who showed, in spite of insurmountable odds and being surrounded by a mob of fairly uncouth individuals, was able to show them a mirror. And I think that's what being a true Indian is.
So you're talking of course about Anmol Pritam. Anmol Pritam पत्रकार हैं जो उस जगह मौजूद थे और उनको भी बोला गया कि वो जय श्री राम बोले, जबरदस्ती की गई उनके साथ। अनमोल से हम 2 मिनट में बात करेंगे। Zafar Sareshwala, I just want your first responses, requesting you to just sit forward a bit sir so that we can see you better. थोड़ा आगे होके अगर आप बोले, because you know you have been talking about how welcome it is that the RSS is doing outreach with the Muslim community and so on, but when we see this happening, you know, in the heart of the capital, a former BJP spokesperson, उन्होंने अपने बायो से BJP हटा दिया है, ट्विटर बायो से, but the fact is, you know, what good is that outreach if incidents like this happen? What would you say, Zafar Sareshwala?
See, Barkha, I tagged directly the Commissioner of Delhi Police and Delhi Police also, Mr. Asthana, and I said, sir, you exactly know who the people are. So this unknown thing is out of question. These are my words. You exactly know who the people are, and if today these people and these slogans were genocidal, Barkha, and I said, if you don't bring these people to book and they are not punished, it will be the worst form of travesty of justice in the country. In fact, I spoke to Ashwini Upadhyay also directly. Because he's been with me in a lot of debates, and I had also attended one of his programs. So I called him up, and when he said the same thing to me, कि जफर भाई हमारा तो प्रोग्राम ये था, ये लोग हमें पता ही नहीं है. तो I said, ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है, the buck stops with you. ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है, आपके प्रोग्राम में ऐसे लोग कैसे हैं. And I quoted him last. I said, मैं आपको वो बात याद दिलाना चाहता हूँ जो हिलरी क्लिंटन ने पाकिस्तान में कही थी. If you rear snakes in your backyard, they are not going to harm only your neighbors, but these snakes will harm you. और ये सबसे पहले आपको डसेंगे. इसलिए आप अगर ये कहते हो कि हमें पता नहीं है, नहीं, इनको ये पले फूले आपकी उसके अंदर और आपके प्रोग्राम में आए, तो ये आपका कहना कि मैं इनको नहीं जानता, ये नहीं चलेगा. These are my exact words to him. And Barkha, one more thing, very intriguing for me is that the people who were there on the stage, वो सब बीजेपी के डिस्कार्डेड लोग थे, यानी जिनको अंगूर खट्टे वाले लोग थे. और वो जो स्पीचेस थी, अगर आपने सुनी हो, तो वो डायरेक्टली घेरे में ले रहे थे ये सरकार को. हम चैन से नहीं बैठेंगे जब तक कि आप ये कानून नहीं लाएंगे. तो बेसिकली दे वर फ्लेक्सिंग देयर मसल टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ द डे. तो ये वो लोग थे सब जिनको बीजेपी से कुछ मिला नहीं है, ये वो लोग थे. और
नहीं, पर बीजेपी की तरफ से एक कुछ इंटरवेंशन आनी चाहिए ना. देयर शुड बी अ डिसोनिंग ऑफ दीस पीपल, क्योंकि कपिल मिश्रा सबको याद है जो जिनके खिलाफ अभी तक कुछ नहीं हुआ. एंड इफ यू से दैट दीस आर द डिस्कार्ड्स ऑफ द बीजेपी, Zafar Sareshwala, then there should be a very very clear disassociation from the BJP of them.
मैं इसलिए कि जो स्पीचेस थी उनकी, वहां पर जो स्पीच थी इनकी सबकी, वो घेरे में ले रहे थे सरकार को. और अभी पता चला है कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की माइनॉरिटी कमीशन ने बहुत सख्त लेटर लिखा है कमिश्नर को और कहा कि ये जब ये परमिशन नहीं थी, ये हुई कैसे, ये लोग कौन है जिन्होंने एंटी मुस्लिम स्लोगन, 4 बातें उन्होंने पूछी हैं. तो अगर मैं समझता हूँ कि ये माइनॉरिटी कमीशन का जो लेटर है ये गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का है, तो ठीक है, हम इंतजार करते हैं. लेकिन अगेन आई विल से, यू आर रियरिंग स्नेक्स इन योर बैकयार्ड. और मुसलमान तो ठीक है, आ जाएं, अपने काम में लग जाएंगे. आप जिस किस्म के लोगों को पालते हो, पाल पोस कर बड़ा करते हो, वो सबसे पहले आप ही को डसेंगे.
Okay, that's strongly said. Anmol से बात करने से पहले, with courtesy to National Dastak, we would like to show you what Anmol experienced. As Zafar Sareshwala, you said, this is not a case of only Muslims being targeted. This is a dominant, violent sort of call to action that is being thrust on all Indian citizens, irrespective of faith. And let's just play out what happened with Anmol.
लिख के ले लीजिए, दिखाएंगे, लिख के ले लीजिए, दिखाएंगे. जय श्री राम बोलो, जय श्री राम बोलो, जय श्री राम बोलो, बोलो. लोगों को मालूम है ये जय श्री राम नहीं बोल सकता, मतलब आप है? बॉर्डर पे बैठे हुए किसान कौन है? हिंदू नहीं है वो लोग। किसान जो बैठे हुए बॉर्डर पे वो हिंदू नहीं है, वो हिंदू नहीं है, वो हिंदू नहीं है।
अनमोल, क्या हुआ, कैसे ये पॉइंट आया? आप लोगों की ऑब्वियसली आर्ग्यूमेंट चल रही है, आप उनको बोल रहे हैं क्या किसान हिंदू नहीं है, बिकॉज आप यू आर ऑब्वियसली सेइंग टू दिस पीपल कि भाई हिंदुओं के ठेकेदार आप लोग नहीं हैं। लेकिन ये जो झड़प हुई जिसमें आपको बोला गया कि आप भी ये नारा उठाइए जय श्री राम का, आप भी कहिए, और आपने कहा कि मेरे साथ आप जबरदस्ती करेंगे तो मैं नहीं कहूंगा, तो ये हुआ क्या? आप अपनी कहानी बताइए।
कल दोपहर में मेरे पास एक इंफॉर्मेशन आई कि जंतर मंतर पर एक प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है, जो कि जिसका मुद्दा है कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड और जनसंख्या नियंत्रण कानून, ये सारे मुद्दे हैं। तो मैं भी वहाँ गया और मैं थोड़ा सा लेट था, तो मैंने अपने कैमरामैन को पहले भेज दिया। मैंने कहा विजुअल्स कलेक्ट कर लो, मैं तब तक आता हूँ। तो 10 मिनट बाद मैं पहुंचा, तब तक वो विजुअल कलेक्ट कर चुके थे। तो मैं हमेशा करता हूँ कि मैं पहले विजुअल को रिव्यू करता हूँ कि इससे पहले क्या हो रहा था। तो मैं वो रिव्यू कर रहा था, देख रहा था, तो मैंने देखा कि उस दौरान ये नारे लगे थे, उस विजुअल में नारे थे कि जब काटे जाएंगे तो राम राम चिल्लाएंगे, इस तरह के वहाँ नारे
आप
थे।
थोड़ा सा स्लोगन इसलिए अवॉइड करने के लिए बोल रही हूँ कि हम उसको रीअफर्म नहीं करना चाह रहे, पर आप आगे बोलिए। हाँ
जी, मैं बोलना नहीं चाह रहा था, बट
I understand, but we'll have to beep it out later. हाँ, बोलिए।
तो उसके बाद फिर मैं गया, मैंने देखा कि ये कौन लोग हैं और ऐसा क्यों कह रहे हैं ये लोग। अगर इनका मुद्दा है तो मुद्दे की बात करें। देन आई स्टार्ट रिपोर्टिंग, और मैंने पूरे इंसिडेंट की शुरुआत की और बातचीत की लोगों से। और प्रोटेस्ट में हमेशा से कवर करता रहता हूँ, तो बिल्कुल उसी फॉर्म में कि ये कौन लोग हैं, कहाँ से आए हैं, क्या मुद्दा है। तो मुझे पता चला कि ये लोगों का मुद्दा जो है कि वो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड और जनसंख्या नियंत्रण कानून के अलावा आईपीसी की 200 धाराओं को ये लोग बदलना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि वो सनातन संस्कृति के विपरीत हैं, वो सनातन संस्कृति को सपोर्ट नहीं करती हैं, ये इनका कहना था। उसके बाद रोहिंग्या का ये लोग खुद ही सवाल लेकर आए कि रोहिंग्या इस देश में सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है। तो मैंने बस इतना पूछ लिया कि 6-7 साल से इस देश में राइट विंग गवर्नमेंट है, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी हैं, आप उनसे पूछ लो कि उन्होंने क्या किया। अगर ये प्रॉब्लम है तो इसका सोल्यूशन उन्होंने क्या निकाला। आप लोग उनसे पूछो और उनसे बातचीत करो, मुसलमानों को क्यों ब्लेम कर रहे हो आप। देन सडन एक लड़का आता है भीड़ से और वो चिल्लाते हुए कहता है कि ये चैनल जिहादियों का चैनल है और इनको वंदे मातरम से प्रॉब्लम है, इनको जय श्री राम से प्रॉब्लम है, इनको भारत माता की जय से प्रॉब्लम है, ये सारे जिहादी लोग हैं, इनको मोदी से प्रॉब्लम है, इनको योगी से प्रॉब्लम है। देन वो पूरा 10-12 लोग थे वहां पे, उस वक्त 10-12 लोग थे, वो लोगों को तो मैंने मैनेज कर लिया। मैं उनको ये बात समझाने में कामयाब रहा कि मैं रिपोर्टर हूँ और मेरा काम है बातचीत करना। मैं आपसे भी बातचीत कर रहा हूँ, मैं सारे प्रोटेस्ट को ऐसे बातचीत करता हूँ, आप भी बातचीत कीजिए। इस तरह के एग्रेशन दिखाने से और मुझसे नारे लगवाने से क्या फायदा, क्योंकि मेरा काम मेरे नारों से थोड़ी पहचाना जाएगा, मैं जो काम करूंगा उससे पहचाना जाएगा। तो देन सडनली फिर वो जब उसने बोला कि आप एंटी हिंदू चैनल हो, हिंदुओं के एंटी हो, देन मैंने कहा था कि हम बेरोजगारों को जगह देते हैं अपने चैनल में, किसानों को जगह देते हैं, तो क्या किसान हिंदू नहीं है? किसान कौन है? तो वो बोल रहे नहीं ये फर्जी किसान है।
और वो क्या चाहते थे कि आप क्या बोले?
वो चाहते थे कि मैं जय श्री राम बोलूं और मैं बोलूं कि मुसलमान इस देश के दुश्मन है, मुसलमान 20-20 बच्चे पैदा करके इस देश के लिए खतरा पैदा कर रहे हैं, मुसलमान 4-4 शादियां करके 40 बच्चे पैदा कर रहे हैं, ये वो बोल रहे थे, ऐसी बातें कर रहे थे और वो चाहते थे कि मैं उनकी हाँ में हाँ मिलाऊं। देन एक सवाल आया, वो सवाल उन लोगों के लिए इतना ट्रिगरिंग हो जाएगा मैंने नहीं सोचा था। मैंने बस इतना पूछा कि इस देश में प्रधानमंत्री खुद लोगों को राशन दे रहे हैं, इस लेवल पे गरीबी पहुंच गई है कि प्रधानमंत्री को इवेंट बनाना पड़ रहा है लोगों को राशन देने के लिए गरीबी पे। तो फिर आप लोग इस देश के प्राथमिक मुद्दा जो कि गरीबी, भुखमरी और बेरोजगारी होना चाहिए, उस पर बात कीजिए। और ये जो यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड है, जनसंख्या नियंत्रण कानून है, ये सारे मुद्दे तो खाए अगाए पेट के हैं। अगर आपका पेट भर जाएगा, सब लोगों का पेट भर जाएगा, तो सब लोग चर्चा कर लेंगे कि इसमें क्या अच्छा है क्या बुरा है, फिर उसमें वो अलग डिस्कोर्स हो जाएगा। लेकिन अभी का मुद्दा होना चाहिए कि रोटी और रोजगार पे बात हो। देन ये बात उनको ट्रिगर कर गई। ये मेरा पूरा सवाल पूरा भी नहीं हुआ और तभी अचानक से 50-55 साल के अंकल आए और वो चिल्लाने लगे जिहादी जिहादी। वो वीडियो में आपने देखा होगा, तुम पहले जय श्री राम बोलो, पहले जय श्री राम बोलो। और उसके बाद से फिर 100-150 लोगों की जो भीड़ थी वो पूरी भीड़ ट्रिगर हो गई। फिर मेरे लिए समझाना मुश्किल था, कोई मुझे पीछे से खींच रहा है, कोई खुद ही माइक में बोल दे रहा है। तो इस तरह से वो मुद्दा हुआ।
आप पुलिस केस फाइल करेंगे और आप उन लोगों को पहचान पाएंगे? मैं पीकेडी आई एम कमिंग टू राइट आफ्टर दैट, पर मैं अनमोल से समझना चाहती हूँ, विल यू बी फाइलिंग अ केस और डू यू सी दिस एज कि जैसे हमारी लाइन ऑफ वर्क में ये अक्सर होता है हमारे साथ, आप किस तरह से इसको देखते हैं?
मैडम, ये कहा जाता है ना कि भीड़ का कोई चेहरा नहीं होता, ये बात कही जाती है, लेकिन उस भीड़ का एक चेहरा है जो मेरे जहन में बस गया है। वो चेहरा, उसने मेरे कंधे पे ऐसे हाथ रखा और जब सब लोग, पूरी भीड़ चिल्ला रही थी कि तुम जय श्री राम बोलो, उसने मेरे कंधे पे हाथ रखा और मेरी आंखों में, और जिस टोन से उसने बोला था और जिस तरह से मुझे देख के बोला था, वो चेहरा मुझे अभी भी याद है। कि उसने कहा था कि क्या तुम्हारे मुंह में दही जमी हुई है, क्या तुम जय श्री राम नहीं बोल सकते? देन वो जब मैंने उसकी आंखों में देखा तो वो एक पॉइंट था जिसको एक डिसाइडिंग पॉइंट कह सकते हैं, जब मुझे चुनना था, जब मेरे अंदर एक फियर आया कि अब ये लोग शायद मुझ पे हमला कर देंगे, मुझे मार देंगे, तो वहां में मुझे डिसाइड करना था कि मुझे यहाँ कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना है या फिर जिस बात को लेकर मैं अड़ा हुआ हूँ मुझे अपनी बात पे कायम रहना है। तो मैंने सोचा ये बात कि अगर मैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं करता हूँ तो क्या होगा, ये लोग मुझे मार देंगे, मेरी हड्डी तोड़ देंगे, ज्यादा से ज्यादा साल भर 6 महीने में बेड रेस्ट पे रहूंगा, हॉस्पिटल में रहूंगा। वो शरीर का घाव जो होगा, शरीर पे चोट आएगा, वो भर तो जाएगा ही कुछ दिन में। लेकिन अगर अभी मैंने इन लोगों के सामने, और जिस हिसाब से ये लोग मुझ पे दबाव बना रहे हैं, क्योंकि सारी बात तो विचारों के ही बचाने की थी, फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन की थी, मुझे अपने विचारों को बचाना था, तो अगर मैं अभी कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लूंगा तो जो चोट मेरे अपनी आत्मा पे पड़ेगा, जो मेरे सोल पे जो चोट पड़ेगा, वो शायद मुझे कभी सोने नहीं देगा और पूरी लाइफ शायद रिकवर ना हो पाए। देन आई डिसाइडेड कि मैं नहीं बोलूंगा। तभी मैंने बोला कि मैं अब नहीं बोलूंगा, क्योंकि सारी लड़ाई तो मुझे खुद को बचाने की है, मेरे विचारों को बचाने की है, तो फिर मैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके कैसे?
बिल्कुल, एंड थैंक यू, आप अपनी आपके साथ जो बीती आप शेयर कर रहे हैं, आपके वीडियो ने इसको एम्पलीफाई किया एक पूरे नेशनल ऑडियंस के सामने। सो वी आर एज जर्नलिस्ट, फेलो जर्नलिस्ट, ग्रेटफुल and in admiration of your reporting work there on the ground. Mr. Nambiar, I want your first responses. Ashwini Upadhyay, as we mentioned, changed his Twitter bio. सुबह तक बीजेपी था उनके नाम में, वो दिल्ली बीजेपी के स्पोक्सपर्सन रह चुके हैं। उनका पेट कैंपेन यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड और नया पॉपुलेशन कानून है। His pet campaigns are a new population law. There is an anti-Muslim subtext there, but you only sully a colloquial slogan like Jai Shri Ram, which is meant to be a slogan of amity, of greeting, by weaponizing it against fellow citizens. How do you respond, Mr. Nambiar, and are you not disappointed with the wishy-washy response of the Delhi police?
I believe that the word condemn is a very, very small word for such kind of an act. I think we are a large democracy wherein, and I don't like the word per se, the secular, the way the liberal media talks about it, but I think we have it in our mind and heart, the word secularism embedded in all of us. That is the coexistence of, say, about 1500 years of this. Some miscreant people, some mob, I think, jo Patrakar friend jo bola hai ki that some mob, some people who are bad in taste, or some people who are discarded by maybe an organization or a couple of organizations who believe that their way of reaching out or to be relevant in the media or in amongst their group this is the way, maybe going and sloganeering against our fellow other citizens, rather than forget about the religion or anything. It is such kind of words and such kind of a sloganeering, such kind of an act do not have any place. So firstly, I completely distance myself from too far away from such kind of a people. Now coming to the next part, you also need to understand, I don't know whether a few days ago I was given an opportunity to be on a panel on a BBC wherein we were talking about something like this. Do you know, you will be very surprised to know that such kind of a large number of activities do take place in this country in multiple places. For an example, multiple places. So it's maybe
What
like we are in
activities? What activities? I didn't.
some such kind of a sloganeering by any of the community. I'm not talking about, don't go by this one particular community or such kind of a people. Few days ago, about 1.5 years ago, I don't know if you remember that all those people who read the history, or the people 1921, the Mopila rebellion, which is considered to be one of the very big. And in my place, in the North Malabar area, there was a huge movement, and it was supposed to be the 1921 is known as the millions of Hindus, and the temples were devastated. And there's some section of the people who came out on the street to celebrate the 100th year of the 1921, and the kind of sloganeering, I would say that they were all on with the sword and all in the street. I believe all these people, I don't say that all the Muslims in that area were all wrong. They are all my brothers and sisters. So as here, so some people, some mob comes and do such kind of a sloganeering. And I think Zafar bhai, what he said, I said what Zafar
said, yes.
That they are the rejected people, rejected, frustrated, some kind of a people who are coming and they are just looking for a platform. Unfortunately, Barkha, knowingly or unknowingly, we are giving them a platform. We are making them a star for at least for some people.
Okay.
I think the police should take action. Yeah,
exactly. I want to go back to the role of the police. But as we look at these pictures, I think the point made by Zafar Sareshwala was that the buck stops with the organizers of the rally, whether you call them discards of the BJP or you don't, especially because there is a perception that anyone close to ruling parties will not be acted against. In this, we must also talk about the role of the Delhi government, even though it doesn't control the Delhi police. I just want to play out, before I get Amod, Kanth and Saba, Naqvi to come in again, and then everybody else, of course, the reaction of Ashwini Upadhyay talking to Mojo Story earlier, answering how he could allow this to happen at a rally that he organized.
मैं इस भाषण के खिलाफ पुलिस में शिकायत दर्ज करा चुका हूं। मैंने पुलिस से मांग किया है कि इस वीडियो की जांच करें। यदि ये वीडियो सही है तो इस वीडियो में शामिल जितने लोगों की फ़ोटो आ रही, जितने लोग भाषण दे रहे हैं, इनके खिलाफ कठोर से कठोर कार्रवाई करें। और ये वीडियो अगर फेक है, ये हमारे आंदोलन को अगर ख़राब करने के लिए, मेरी इमेज को ख़राब करने के लिए बनाया गया है, तो जिन लोगों ने ये वीडियो बनाया और जिन लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया में सर्कुलेट किया है, उनके खिलाफ दिल्ली पुलिस कार्रवाई करे।
तो ये कहते हैं कि ये कंडेम करते हैं, और अगर वीडियो फेक है तो उस पर भी कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। अनमोल, बिफोर आई कम टू मिस्टर अमोद कांत, मैं बहुत संक्षेप में आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ, जब ये रैली हो रही थी, क्योंकि आप वहां मौजूद थे, पुलिस कहाँ थी?
पुलिस जैसे हर प्रोटेस्ट में होती है कि सिक्योरिटी के लिए वहाँ दिल्ली पुलिस होती है, रैपिड एक्शन फोर्स होता है और रिजर्व पुलिस होती है, वो सारी पुलिस वही मौजूद थी।
जब आप लोगों का झगड़ा हो रहा था, जब आप पे दबाव जा रहा था जय श्री राम बोलने के लिए, पुलिस थी वहां?
हाँ, पुलिस हमेशा की तरह जैसे प्रोटेस्टर के आसपास होती है उस पूरे एरिया में, जिस हिसाब से होता है जंतर मंतर पे, जब भी कोई प्रोटेस्ट होता है तो सिक्योरिटी के लिए जो भी पुलिस होती है, दिल्ली पुलिस होती है, रिजर्व पुलिस होती है, रैपिड एक्शन।
यूनिफॉर्म में थे वो या कैसे थे? यूनिफॉर्म में थे या प्लेन क्लोथ में थे?
जी, यूनिफॉर्म, ऑफ कोर्स यूनिफॉर्म में थे सारे लोग, दिल्ली पुलिस और सब। तभी तो मैं बता रहा हूँ कि क्योंकि यूनिफॉर्म से ही तो मैं पहचानूंगा कौन क्या है।
Mr. Kanth, please go ahead. And I think Sherbir made a very, very important point, that the police force that could fight a young woman, call her seditious because she wanted to support the farmers' protest, was accused of sedition. I actually disagree completely with the sedition law. This rally was to bring down colonial age laws, one colonial age law that should go as sedition. But if ever there was a fit case for sedition, it is these men who were calling for violence against fellow citizens. Amod Kanth.
But why do we have sedition law even now after 70 years?
I agree. I preface
But why?
by saying
55 years, why Congress could not change it? I don't know. I don't understand that.
Why couldn't the BJP do it either?
My problem is that, no, I'm seriously saying. No, Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't like this at your place at all. But I just wanted this sometimes curiosity.
You know, when the story was being sent to me, I learned about this story that they wanted to get rid of the colonial, let's say, laws. I mean, there are any number of colonial laws which are devastating this country, particularly in overall criminal justice system. In criminal justice system, I mean, Barkha knows very well. Yeah. In my recently published book, I have discussed in great detail this particular issue, that how colonial laws even IPC, CRPC, Evidence Act, Indian Police Act 1861 vintage. They are all, that's a
So let's
separate
come
issue.
back to this event. I think we all agree
Perhaps.
sedition should go. Let's
That's
come
correct.
back to this.
Now
Yeah.
here the point is that I'll entirely go by the event and statements being made here. Anmol, for example, whatever Anmol has said, he has gone in great detail. He's an excellent eyewitness. He's a person who is on the receiving end of the situation. I mean, for the police, Sherbir, I think to investigate this case is not a big deal. We don't require very eminent, very senior and kind of CBI kind of police officers to investigate it. Everything is open and clear. If let's say Mr. Upadhyay is saying that it's a false video which is being publicized, well, that's a separate issue. I mean, the video and now Anmol is here and Anmol is stating the same thing. So there is certain kind of somebody has documented, somebody has recorded, police also might have recorded. So if this event occurred as it is being projected, for example, as it is being displayed, in that situation, the body language, the statements being made, the outrageous utterances made by the people, all of them call for not only thorough investigation, but very firm action. There's no doubt about it. I mean, under the law, I'm just looking at the whole thing from the angle of legal action. For Delhi police, I think it's called for that they should, first of all, there's certain accountability for the person also, let's say, who applied for permission and permission was not granted. And then if that person is also connected to this entire incident or assembly of people, because the entire assembly is unlawful. Please understand 2 points. Number one, that the assembly becomes unlawful and anybody and everybody being part of this large assembly becomes equally unlawfully.
I just want Saba to respond to Zafar Sareshwala's point, and sorry, Sherbir, I'll come to you right after that, that these are discards of the BJP. Ashwini Upadhyay's argument that this is some attempt to defame him. Someone has obviously asked him to remove the BJP reference from his bio, which tells you that the BJP is not comfortable with the blowback to this. At the same time, there's a sense that without the sort of connivance of at least somebody at some level, this could not happen. How do you see it, Saba?
First of all, I'd just take this chance to say congratulations to Anmol. He has the moral honesty to be unambiguity, that you know what is wrong and you don't go round and round over it. I think this whole argument that there is actually a very good and pure BJP. There's actually this wonderful BJP which is about to embrace all the Muslims because the RSS chief made one statement in some book launch, is rubbish. It is dishonest. I'm sorry, Zafar bhai, I'm not talking about you. It is people trying to. No, let me finish.
I think that is not right. That is not right.
Let her have a view. I will give you a chance to contradict it.
You can contradict me. I have covered the BJP for a long time, and I know they've also been my friends. But I'm a journalist, so let's just carry that. In today's BJP, the main plank is the personality of one man, a few schemes, and Hindutva. So nobody, I repeat to you, a judge was transferred from the Delhi High Court within a matter of 24 hours because he said FIRs need to be lodged against those who say Goli Maro Saloko. He was transferred, nothing was done. Nothing is ever done to these hate mongers. So the belief that there is this pure, lovely people who actually want to embrace all the Muslims, but there are some misunderstanding and there are some bad people, here and there. It sort of, either I'm a stupid person and I've not seen some analytical evidence on the ground, because all that I see when I cover campaigns from Bengal to UP or Delhi is hatred for Muslims. So I'm not going to buy anything like that,
Okay,
that's
Zafar,
all.
Zafar, this has been your great hope. And today, even you have used the same phrase, Zafar Sareshwala. You've said these were genocidal slogans. And you have also said that the buck stops with the organizers of the rally. But I think what Saba is saying is very important. You need to see demonstrable, visible police action against these goons. Zafar Sareshwala.
See, first of all, I am not a journalist. Okay, I am a businessman and I do a lot of things which have nothing to do with journalism. My plank is very simple, and Saba should know I have not brought BJP in power here or in Gujarat or in UP. My simple axiom is whoever is in the government, I have to deal with them and I engage with them. So my plank is only this much. Now, what I said I said the people who were there on the stage, you listen to their speeches. They were threatening this government. They were not threatening Muslims. आप सुनिए, even Ashwini Upadhyay, हम चैन से नहीं बैठेंगे.
I mean, they were, yeah.
So they were threatening, they were flexing their muscles to the government, not to the Muslims. और वो सब कौन थे? किसी जमाने में किसी को कहीं ना कहीं बीजेपी से कुछ मिला था और अभी नहीं मिला. ये जो थे वो समझते थे कि मैं तो इन्हें लॉ मिनिस्टर बन जाऊंगा. एक साहब जो थे, जो फेल्ड टीवी एक्टर, वो समझते थे कि मुझे तो आईएनबी मिनिस्ट्री मिलेगी. तो
आप गजेंद्र चौहान की बात कर रहे हैं जो स्टेज पे थे.
वो लोग थे बरखा, जिनको बीजेपी ने कुछ नहीं दिया. हमारा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. तो दे वर एक्चुअली, एंड यू लिसन टू देयर स्पीचेस, दे वर थ्रेटनिंग द गवर्नमेंट. हमको ये चाहिए, हमको वो चाहिए, ये 222 कानून निकाल लें. तो वो तो डायरेक्टली थ्रेटन अपनी गवर्नमेंट को कर रहे थे, अगर वो थे तो. एंड मेरा ये है, आई एम नॉट सेइंग बीजेपी मुसलमानों को एम्ब्रेस करेगी नहीं करेगी, आरएसएस चीफ क्या बोलते हैं नहीं बोलते, इट्स नॉट माय बिजनेस. माय बिजनेस इज ओनली if they are in the government, wherever I, as a citizen of the country and somebody who's doing something on ground, I have to deal with them day in and day out. So my plank is only this much. I don't care वो government में कैसे आए. I have not brought Saba. I have not brought BJP to power here or Gujarat or anywhere.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. You're being very candid. Actually, you're being very candid. You're being very candid, and I thank you for your candor. Sherbir, you made a very passionate point about the police intervention, and you heard Anmol's account after that. I think, as Amod Khan said, Anmol's account provides critical testimony in what would otherwise be a he said versus he said sort of contestation for the police.
Absolutely, Barkha. I think Mr. Pritam's testimony definitely gives us he was on the spot. His channel has captured footage from the protest site. So even though Mr. Upadhyay has said that he's not sure about the veracity of the videos being circulated on social media, which is understandable, we've all seen an onslaught of fake news. But I think Mr. Pritam, his channel's videography of the protest site, all is compelling evidence for the Delhi police to be able to run a model prosecution. And I think that's what we all want to come back to, is that this needs to be prosecuted. We don't want to just see, and I think Ms. Naqvi made a very important point, we don't want to see 3-4 random arrests. We can clearly see several individuals present. We can clearly see several individuals making inflammatory, bigoted, insightful remarks, and they deserve to be prosecuted to the full extent of law. And I want to sort of come back to a point Mr. Nambiar raised. And I think this isn't really, I don't think any of us are competing for an inflammatory statement made by one community against another deserves any kind of should be condoned, and only if it's against Muslims it should be condemned. I don't think there is that false equivalence. If a Muslim makes insightful statements against a Hindu or a Sikh or a Christian or a Jehovah Witness or a Parsi or whatever you say, we need whoever makes insightful, inflammatory, bigoted statements that would result in physical action, that could result in physical harm, is contrary to the law and needs to be prosecuted. And I think that's where it comes back to.
Absolutely, unequivocally agree.
And I want to leave with one point, and I think, and I don't mean to be disrespectful for the Delhi police. I respect uniform, and I always believe that institutions will sort of find the right way, and there are always wrong apples or rotten apples here or there that take them away. But I'm going to leave an open question. If this was a protest organizer for the CAA, who discounted and said there was physical violence that happened and I don't know who did it, I think in the heart of heart, our stomachs would tell us that organizer would be arrested. I'm not calling for Mr. Upadhyay's arrest. I do not stand for arrest. Barkha, you've heard me speak on the issue of bail. I will never sort of ask for false incarceration. But I'm drawing the false equivalence of procedure that we are faced with when we are looking at two very different events.
I think it's a very important question. I have literally 3 minutes left, so I'm going to get PKD to briefly respond, then Anmol and Amod Khan to wrap this up for us. I think there's a very important question here of double standards. You raised it when you said, what if this was Muslims raising hate slogans against other communities? And we're all saying to you, so you don't have to underline it, that we'd be we'd be condemning those unequivocally as well. Now, having put that aside, there's a sense that the law is working differently. That sedition, communal hatred, all of these provisions in the Indian Penal Code are being applied selectively. PKD?
So I believe there is a slight difference. This is where my apprehension always been this only, that the people who sits in Delhi do feel, especially some of the journalists, I'm not talking about you because I know that you travel all across the country on the ground. We feel that sitting here, we can create an agenda. Delhi is not about India. Secondly, another thing and Supreme Court is not the only place where the judgments are passed. Even the municipal courts to everywhere the things are happening. What I wanted to say is that there is some kind of an attempt to make sure that some people who are calling Jai Shri Ram is BJP, without even checking the real action that calling Jai Shri Ram is not somebody is calling does not mean that they are BJP or an RSS. Please do understand RSS, or for that matter, in the same channel, once upon a time, three of us in the same panel, we were having a discussion about an RSS chief call. We discussed at length that RSS as an organization have been continuously stayed with one particular stand, that it is always been for a society which is for everyone. One second, I wanted to, because sometimes the kind of actions which we give and feel that it is all about all these people, some 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 200 people are not 100 crore Hindus. So let's not paint that as a society. There are all those people who are, people are calling Jai Shri Ram. That means all the Hindus are bad, all RSS men are bad, all the BJP people are bad. Sorry, not acceptable.
I don't think anybody...
No,
that's the way we portray. That's a very classic way of portraying.
Anmol, you have to leave, so does everybody. सिर्फ बिल्कुल last comment मैं ये आपसे पूछना भूल गई कि आप उस mob में से निकले कैसे फिर? You said you stuck to your thing, your conviction, कि मैं नहीं बोलूंगा, मुझसे जबरदस्ती बुलवाएंगे तो मैं नहीं बोलूंगा. आप वहां से निकले कैसे और उसके बाद क्या हुआ? और अगर आपको इन लोगों को पहचानना होता टुमारो, बिकॉज ये FIR तो अननोन पर्संस के अगेंस्ट दर्ज है, और जब अश्विनी उपाध्याय कहते हैं मुझे नहीं मालूम ये कौन है, इन दो बातों पे आपका क्लोजिंग कमेंट.
जब ये फाइनल बातचीत हो गई और जब मैंने उनको बोला कि मैं नहीं बोलूंगा, देन उस भीड़ में से आवाज आई कि इसको जाने दो, इसको हटाओ, भगाओ. तो जब मैं चलने लगा तो फिर उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि आपने वीडियो में देखा भी होगा कि एक अंकल है, उन्होंने मेरे पीठ पे मारा भी, भगाया ऐसे, और फिर मेरा हाथ पकड़ के भी झटका. फिर उसके जस्ट एक ही मिनट बाद मेरा कैमरा रोक दिया जाता है. देन उसके बाद मैं मैनेज करता हूँ, लोगों को बताता हूँ कि मैं तो बातचीत, वही पुरानी चीज जैसे कि मैं तो बातचीत करने आया था, आप लोग बातचीत के मूड में नहीं लगते. देन मैं गया, मैं वहाँ से मैं P2C भी वहाँ नहीं कर पाया. मैं वहाँ से 50 मीटर दूर जाके मैंने P2C किया, और जब मैं P2C कर रहा था तो उस वक्त भी 8-10 लोग आए थे और मेरे कैमरामैन के पीछे खड़े हो गए, और वो लोग लगातार इस बात को मॉनिटर कर रहे थे कि मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ. देन मैं वो P2C करते वक्त भी मैंने अपनी बात रखी और जो बोलना था वो बोला. फिर उसके बाद पैकअप करके कैब बुक किया और तुरंत निकल गया.
एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू यू ये कौन लोग थे और ये दिल्ली के थे, कहाँ बाहर से आए? आपको मौका मिला उनसे पूछने का अनु?
हाँ, उस पूरी रिपोर्ट में है. मैं जिससे भी बात कर रहा था, जब तक मेरे कंट्रोल में चीजें थी तब तक मैं जरूर पूछ रहा था आप कहाँ से हैं. तो इनमें कुछ 12th के स्टूडेंट थे, कुछ एक आर्मी के रिटायर्ड जवान भी थे इसमें, और एक आदमी थे जो कह रहे थे कि वो टिकैत के गांव के पास से हैं, किसान हैं. तो अलग अलग लोकेशन से थे और अलग अलग उम्र के लोग थे, लेकिन अब ऐसे एग्जैक्टली नहीं कह सकता क्योंकि वो फिर मेरे कंट्रोल में थी नहीं चीजें. तो दो चार लोगों से जो मैंने बात की उसमें मुझे समझ में आई.
जी, I have to close, Mr. Kanth. Quick last word to you. I think the police must at least talk to Anmol, Pritam, and get many details. He's going to be a key eyewitness in the case. But how does the police convey the confidence that they are not selectively applying the laws, to Sherbir's question?
See, as the law requires that the police need not take a political view of it, police can just straightway go on this incident. The event is loud and clear. The event is absolutely visible. And if somebody says that the video has been tampered with or it's not a correct kind of video, that can be examined quickly. And Anmol, and besides Anmol, a large number of people's photographs are there and video is there. It can be found out very easily.
Yes.
And then entirely on merit, irrespective of political affiliations, the persons concerned who can be seen, who can be identified, action should be taken. Okay.
And it is a litmus test. It is really a litmus test. And I think that we all agree on. We leave it there. Anmol, Pritam, thank you for your reporting. I think without these specific details, this story may have been dismissed and none of us would have known better because we were not there. So thank you for holding your fire in the face of that mob. And Amod, Kanth, PKD Nambiar, Saba, Naqvi, Zafar, Sareshwala, Sherbir, Panag. Thank you. To our audience, we will continue to follow this story because really it is an assault on the dignity of our fellow citizens. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.